Hello, 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 hello. Now, I don't want to give you the impression that that's the year I was born, AD 1923, but we're getting back in the right era anyway. Well, hello to you wherever you are watching our little corner. It's a beautiful sunshiny day, the 25th day of August 2004, and we're at the former home of Seton Catholic MAI, and my goodness. Brother Rennie, how are you?
Very well, and you?
Last time we talked to you, we were down in the bowels of this wonderful building looking at history, and you had the worst head cold I've ever seen in my life. I
Right.
can tell you got over it.
I get it over for it now.
We had a lot of fun, didn't we,
Yeah,
that
it was
time?
very good.
People, I told people we're coming here today, and they said, what's happened to all that stuff? What's going to happen to all that stuff when Seton moves out of there? What's going to happen? Now, you can start our show today by telling what's going to happen to all that stuff.
Well, we still are in the process of moving things over. We are changing one of the garages on the property of the new school into a room, alumni room. We call it the alumni room because it may
That makes sense, doesn't it?
That is right.
Perfect sense.
That may be because we will be inviting the St. John's alumni and Our Lady of Victory alumni and possibly some other schools of Catholic schools that are not existing anymore in order to keep the records. It will be stored at that building on the new Seton Catholic campus. All what I had over here, which was shown many times on TV, in the alumni room, will be shared in two different areas. One of them will be at the school itself, namely mostly the trophies and the scrapbook of MAI, into one hallway next to the alumni office, which is near the cafeteria at the new school. All the other things we're going to try to put them in the what I call the alumni room on Montana Avenue on the campus of Seton Catholic Central.
You got to have mixed feelings. First of all, for the people who aren't familiar with our show and not familiar with the city of Plattsburgh, MAI and Seton Catholic and the other Catholic schools have been a part of life here in our area for a long, long time. But it's time to make a move. We outgrew our britches, and you're going to move into the former, which school now is that on the base?
The former Peru school, no, what was it called? The North Side School.
North Side School on the former Plattsburgh Air
Right.
Force Base.
And we will bring all what we have over here to the new school, the chairs, the desk, the material that we have in the school that is useful and necessary will be brought to the new school. And this was done recently, within the last 3 weeks that we moved most of the things into. However, the moving of the school itself was also done during the last few months of the old Seton school.
Yeah.
The teachers were ready to move in their class into their new classes, the materials that they don't need at the moment, and it would save a lot of time in the movement. And to tell you the truth, the entire faculty helped out in the movement.
Big job.
It's a big job, and we still have something to move out from here still to check before.
And for you, since you've been connected so much with the history of this building, it's got to be an emotional struggle for you.
Well, it is in a way that we've been here so long, which was what used to be called Mount Assumption Institute, which is reputation from 1919 until 1989, when we merged with St. John's and formed the new school, Seton Catholic Central. I was here for the the merger and all that, at that time it was still something emotional, but at this moment I think many of us will recall the good old days of MAI.
Of course you
and
will. Forever
Seton.
and ever and ever.
So as you see in front of the school, the flagpole is already gone.
I noticed that.
Then it is moved to the Knights of Columbus Hall on Boynton Avenue. The statue of Our Lady of the Assumption is actually at the new school in the quadrangle that is like a little park. As you enter the school, you see it across the school building by the windows, and it looks very, very nice where she is placed. That will be the most probably the area for the seniors to lounge during the beautiful days when they're not in class. The memorial trees that we have two of them right over there. Those are the memorials, anniversary memorials of the 9/11. They will be transplanted on the new land.
That's good. No kidding. That's a great idea because they have some real significance, don't
Yes,
they?
yes.
Well, there's so much to think about here because this is an historic part of the city of Plattsburgh. There are a lot of amazing and sometimes wonderful stories about this, and a public hanging or two way back in the early 19th century, and about haunted houses across the street. But this has been the scene of, this has been a focal point for Catholic education here for a long time. This is the original building, right?
The original building is behind the classroom building. The Vilas Mansion, which was built sometimes around 1850.
Parts of that are still there?
Still there.
Wow.
And the first two floors are still there. The top two floors were built eventually by the brothers for expansion when there was a house of formation of young aspirants to become teachers and to become religious teachers until 1916 when the high school came in and with the first graduating class in 1919. From then on, we graduated something like over 4,000 graduates came through the school, and including the Seton years from 1989 to this date, 2004.
So you've been connected with the history of this place for a long time. You've written about it. You've I don't know how your fingers aren't worn out from cutting all those newspaper articles out and making all those delightful scrapbooks. I have to tell you, the last time we did our show in the history of MAI, we had so much comment. So much comment. That's my grandfather, that's my uncle, that's Sid Spiegel, that's, you know, and we showed all those photographs of every class, except one? You didn't have too many missing,
The
did
class
you?
of 1921
Yeah.
is a mystery one. Because I've seen someplace a graduation picture, according to a certain brother, of members of class of 1921. But we have no official records to indicate it in the photo albums or in other scrapbooks. I'm still hunting for it to see what's the
I can't believe
history
that
of this.
didn't come forward the last time we did this show, but maybe somebody sees this time. We'll have a grandfather or a great uncle or somebody who went to school then, and they'll have a picture for us. What we're going to do is tour this building before it comes down. There's so much speculation and arguments, and people who live in this area writing letters to the editor, and my goodness, have you been involved in any of that at all?
No.
He says that with great conviction. No. But so we really don't know what's going to become of this building, do we?
Well, we have some inclinations. It looks like it will become a senior citizen housing program. This is to go counteract of the original plan that they were supposed to build a compound over here of college students living in new apartments. But I think this scared the people around the area because of these brawls we have at night weekends, and the noise and the throwing of trashes of bottle cans or beer, and all that stuff, and also the loud noise that we used to hear from the college students coming up Brinkeroff and coming up Court Street disturbed many people who were trying to sleep. And I think with the new plans, they will be more amenable to accept the new housing project. And I think it's a good thing if it goes through for the senior citizens.
And as we record this on 25th of August 2004, does it appear as though they might keep the old buildings and just rehabilitate them, or tear the whole thing down?
Well, we hear so many different stories, and I'm not too sure about things. But what I'm hearing very strongly is that most probably they will keep the front of the school and alter it to the means of the senior citizens, and having an elevator shaft at both ends of the building for the housing of the senior people.
Well, we'll see. You know, Calvin and I feel so strongly about history, and I know you do too. And that old building that's nestled back there is so much a part of what Plattsburgh is all about. It kills us. It's like losing an old friend.
Yeah.
When they tear these old buildings down. And we're not totally against progress, but we love to preserve as much of history as we possibly can. So perhaps by the time this program is aired for the first time later in the fall of 2004, we'll have a better idea what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, you're a moving machine.
We're keeping our fingers crossed.
Moving machine.
Yeah.
Well, we're standing out here on this glorious day, and it's a good day to capture this all on tape, because this program will become a part of the history of this school, and who knows into the future what's going to happen to Catholic education here in the North Country. But our solid prayers will be with a good future for it. And of course, when you get moved into the new place, I'll bet you the hometown cable cameras will be right out there to capture
Most
that
probably,
too.
because it's a beautiful place. The classrooms are large, very, very large, and all lit up, and many windows, except some minor things, But class-wise, it's a beautiful building.
That's going to be great. One of the last public functions that will ever be happening in this building is, guess what? B-I-N-G-O. Bingo was his name. Bingo will continue until sometime in September, and then it'll be launching into a whole new phase at Our Lady of Victory, right?
We'll have bingo here September 4th, and that will be the last one. On September 11th, we will transfer our bingo organization to Our Lady of Victory school building on the same dates, Saturday and Sunday, and same type of prizes will be awarded at those two bingos.
I love it. What we're going to do is, during this program, and I urge all of you, no matter who you are or what your interest might be, to stay tuned, because this could be one of the best editions of our little corner ever, as we get to tour this grand building and all its many parts. It's got so many parts, upstairs and downstairs. If you left me in there alone, you might not find me till next spring, because I'm not sure I find my way out. But you walked those halls for a long, long time, right, brother?
Oh yes.
So you know where to go, and you'll show us around this building, and we'll get a bird's eye view of it before the building finally closes upon this phase of history in the city of Plattsburgh. Stay with us. Yeah, we walked up a little closer to the front of the building, although we won't be entering here. We wanted to get a look at that cornerstone. Mount Assumption Institute, founded 1903, rebuilt 1923. Was there anything put in that cornerstone, I wonder?
I don't think so. I think it was just the writing at all.
Yeah, just the writing.
Just the writing.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm sure there will be many people watching this program who have memories upon memories upon memories of walking in these doors.
Oh yes.
The things that happen inside, memories of high school.
Right.
stick with us forever and ever and ever.
I have some. Well, I go to St. Peter's Church in the morning at 7 o'clock Mass, and people always talk to me, and they try to recall some of the history. But there's one particular lady. She told me that she watched the program 4 times already on last year's filming.
You're a star. A star.
She says congratulations at every time she meets me.
Every
So
time,
I don't know what will be with this one.
every time I saw that program, I said to my wife, the poor brother, he can hardly talk. His voice is shot. He's got a cold, and we made him talk for 2 hours straight. It's a wonder we didn't kill him. But there was a lot of history. Once again, we get comments on almost every program we do because we pick our topics fairly carefully, and we're committed to history. And this school, boy, those walls. Remember, you know what they say about if those walls could talk?
They would have a lot of stories.
A few stories we wouldn't be able to repeat on camera, but some great stories and wonderful memories. And we hope we can revive some of those memories before we finish our tour today. Stay with us. Yes.
One of the individual, class of 1958, wrote a volume that thick of everyday event that happened over here when he was here.
Wow. He must have kept a journal, huh?
Oh, he must have kept. His mother used to keep all his letters or postcards, and from there he made a volume book that thick.
Oh my goodness!
And he gave us a copy
You got
for
it?
our centennial year. Yes.
Oh, that's
And it's unbelievable. You trace his 4-year life, well, 6 years, because he was here also for 7th and 8th grade.
sure.
You know, and it's a really wonderful book.
Great
If you want to
reading.
get a good history of a particular time, you have that book.
And everybody who went here has a slightly
Yeah.
different perspective
Yeah.
on what their life was like.
And this man, this individual who wrote this book is actually a German. Armin Braun, class of 58.
I love it.
Very, very good.
58 was a good year. All right, let's start the tour.
Now let's go.
I never attended this school, of course, because I didn't move back to the North Country until 1961, and my formal education was far behind. But I've been in this gym
For many a times.
many, many times over the years, and I've done some loud cheering, and I've been in forums on Catholic education here, and I've never been to bingo here, but many of our viewers have. So
You miss your part of your
oh yeah,
formation with bingo.
a big part of the North Country culture. We walked into this gym, and of course, my head is flooded with all my own personal memories of this place. Calvin said those are the most dangerous bleachers in the world. We never could figure out why little kids didn't fall to their imminent death, and you said somebody up there has been watching over us. But it's so much fun to come in here and look at these tables with all the different colors on the tables. Well, there's memories embedded in every
those
single
tables, yeah.
one of those tables. The first thing we looked at was the mural, and Calvin said with no small amount of humor, how are they going to move that to the new building? Of course, that would be impossible. And we tried to remember who painted it. You said it was a Canadian girl, and we looked over and saw that her name was
Adeline Gay.
1998, so that's 6 years ago. Very interesting, and she was a student here.
Yes.
So that
She
mural
did
itself,
that painting, that mural, in about 3 or 4 months
really?
before the graduation time.
That's quite good. What a beautiful depiction of the front of the school where we began our program today, and some of her own memories, and she captured.
She captured every sport we have and the academic part. This side is sports, and of course the emblem, the knight, representing the school. And then on the other side, the academic part, scholarships and all that.
So yes, I've been in here for many basketball games and many volleyball games and many other activities down through the years, and for me those memories are good. And for the kids who played here, participated, for all of their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents,
Oh yes.
a million memories right here in and around this gym. And you told me that the new gym on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base hasn't even been built yet.
It should be ready by November. We hope for it. The foundation is all set in, but we're waiting for the material to come in and start working on the gym. Hopefully they will have it covered at least before the bad weather comes in and finish it off.
Well, one way or the other, you got to have winter sports.
Right.
And if you can't do it there, you're going to have to
go play in another gym.
Go play in another gym. Been there, done that. Remote locations for practice fields, and this town and this North Country has been pretty good about sharing facilities that way when it's necessary, and we've done that many times. So yeah, you've been to a lot of functions in this part of the building too, haven't you?
Many graduations and then plays, yearly plays, and the band performing for the front party concerts and all that.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, it brings a lot of memories.
Yeah, you know, it's something we sometimes fail to mention, and I want to, because as important as sports and the academics, music is a vital part of what any education is all about, especially in this Catholic school, and what dedicated teachers and what some really mighty fine musicians this school has turned out over the years. When you stop to think about those glory days in the 50s and 60s, right?
You're right. When we had a glorious band, drum and bugle corps, and they were competing many times with the Montreal schools, and even they gave concerts out there too.
I'm trying to remember the music director's name when I came here. Was it Peter?
Peter Blessant
of course.
Was the
legendary.
Was the band director for 25 years.
Made a real name for himself. Yeah. One of my great pleasures in living here and working here and being a parent and grandparent and great-grandparent in the North Country is to go to all the musical events, record a lot of them on audio tape and play them on the radio, and then record a lot of them on videotape and still play the audio on the radio, promote the musical education as well as the athletic and the academic education. So yeah, this is a wonderful building, and this is a great gym with lots of memories for all of us. Where are we going to go next?
I'll give you a view of the cafeteria, if you want.
Yeah, and I'll probably wish that they were serving lunch by the time we get there. I'll follow you. Before we went to the cafeteria, Calvin felt led to walk over here to Curly's Corner because he said the memories that people in the North Country might have of you, brother, are standing right behind this counter. So you've done that a few times?
Oh, I've been doing this quite a while. Every weekend, every Saturday, and sometimes Sunday. But after school hours, when the students were getting ready to go for their sports, they would come to the concession and buy some goodies here and there, what kind of ice cream or soda or whatnot. And it's a useful concession for the students because they don't have to go down the street to run around and shop. They can get it right over here. We have everything that you can think of for offering to the students. There it looks a little bare because we are at the end of the history of the school and the concession, so my stock is going down more and more and getting ready for the big move.
It's great. So this is, why Curly's Corner?
It was called Curly's Corner. That was the brother who preceded me here, who spent something like 40 years since when the gymnasium was built in 63. Yeah, that's about 40 years. He was in charge of the concession, and he was always here. His real name is Brother Romerick Carry-On, but the students know him under the name of Curly. That is why we call Curly's Corner. People sometimes ask me if I'm Curly. I said, I don't think so. I said, you look at that picture and look at my hair.
Yeah.
I got a little more hair than that one.
I love it. So you took it over.
Right.
And you spent a lot of time back here.
Oh, yes.
And never sampled the merchandise, not once, right?
Not once, probably often, though.
If I'd have known about it, I'd have been right back here with you, brother. So they're good memories
Oh, yes.
everywhere. We can't walk anywhere in this building that doesn't have a memory for you, can we?
Well, probably they'll have some spot that I won't have much to say.
Well, we'll find out. Now we're going to go to the cafeteria, right?
Right.
All right, let's do it. We want to get as much of this wonderful building on tape as we can as we go. We're standing outside of Curly's Corner and walking into a very important part here. There was this, let's walk over this way, brother, and this cabinet contains a lot of important memories.
This cabinet that we have over here used to hold the trophies and the plaques of the actual year before they were transferred into the other trophy cases that's kept in school.
I see there's a plaque above there that talks about...
The benefactor who paid for this, Paul and Mary St. Clair. He was a great friend of the brothers for many years, and we became friends through Brother Charles Lauren, who first introduced them to us. And they've been doing it, they've been very well, good benefactors to the school and to the brothers.
All right, so boy, there's been a lot of kibitzing in this hallway before and after games, and people would get and meet one way or the other. And let's stop right here and
this
look.
is the photo of Brother Lawrence Higgins, whose memory was kept by naming the gym Brother Lawrence Gymnasium, but it never stuck. It always said MAI Gymnasium, but he was the brother for whom this gymnasium was built. He was principal for 2 terms, from 1938 to 43, and from 45 to 50, 46 rather, to 50. He died at an early age. He was about 60 years old.
What'll happen to that portrait?
And this portrait is going back to the Brothers Center in Alfred, Maine, who the author of this picture was Brother Alban Benier, who is now Henry Benier, who is retired in Alfred, Maine, and asked for that photo to be returned to him.
Oh, okay. And you got
These are these 2 plaques here of benefactors and donors when we made a campaign drive for the gymnasium.
Way back when?
In 1963, 62, 63.
What will happen to these?
What'll happen?
Those 2 plaques will go to the alumni room at the new school.
What about this Armin Fortin?
Armin Fortin, and that's in memory of Brother Raymond Fortin's father.
Oh. The memorial lobby.
I would say the memorial lobby of the Fortin family. And this one is the patron of the school since it came Seton Catholic Central in 1989. And she will be brought to the new school and be put in the hallway someplace.
And she did a beautiful job on that portrait, didn't she? Rennie
Yes.
Fenwick. Just absolutely beautiful. Just what a radiant picture, huh?
Yes. It's one of the best pictures I've seen of
it's
Aunt
just
Elizabeth Seton.
a lot of personality.
Yeah.
And that's what sets portraits apart. All right. Been down here, been down these stairs a few times.
Coming down these stairs, we used to have the Hall of Fame for every year
on these walls.
in the 90s.
You can see where they
Yeah.
were. What kinds of things were up there?
Brother Raymond, Father Monsignor Dwyer, former graduates who made history somehow from different schools, including Our Lady Victory, St. John's Academy, Duville Academy, Champlain Academy, and Redford, St. Mary's,
St. Alexander's.
St. Alexander's in Morrisonville, and of course MAI. Brother Raymond and I made the Hall of Fame, and Brother Bernard also, who was here for 54 years at the school.
Wow. 54 years?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? Well, these steps held up pretty good, didn't they,
Oh,
over
yeah.
the years,
Oh,
with the
yes.
thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
We're just looking out on the street to give you an example of where we are. On that's not Court Street, though. That's
not Catherine.
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Yep,
Yeah.
North Catherine
Court
Street.
Street is over there.
Court Street's on the other side. Now, we got exercise equipment in here, but you told me this used to be the cafeteria for the brothers.
That's right.
Oh, somebody painted a nice,
Yeah, they got the
like
emblem of the school.
almost like a coat of arms there,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah.
That's very nice. So this was a cafeteria up
Cafeteria.
until, when would you get it?
Until became Seton, until 1990.
Uh-huh. And this equipment probably will
However,
go over.
we used this cafeteria until 1992.
Uh-huh.
Then afterward, it was altered into an exercise room. They started with a few machinery, then it ended up with a crowded room of machinery exercise.
Really?
All given to us by one of the exercise in town
Uh-huh.
who were changing and renovating their shop. So all these machinery were given to us.
It's very nice. Donations count,
That's
don't they?
right.
And this organization has
Most of the
received many.
machinery that you have and that was in here is in the new school.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Uh-huh. That's a...
Set up.
Okay, and yeah, now we're into the former cafeteria. A lot of meals served here down through the years. And I've been to a lot of very important meetings down here.
Yes.
I can't help but mention over and over again how many times various council members and people from the community and politicians were invited here to try to wrestle with the future of Catholic education in this community. And there was some crying and gnashing of teeth and so many important decisions right
Yeah,
down
that's
through the
right.
years. And
Oh,
you were a
yes.
part of many of those
Yeah.
meetings.
This is when we used to have a annual reunion of the alumni. We first started to celebrate it over here until the reunion was getting too big to hold the invitees. So at that time, we had to look around and see if we can get a hall for those time for reunions.
It's quite a facility, and I'm sure that it's just another place in this building that will evoke tremendous memories. I want to keep mentioning throughout the course of the program what we're doing and where we are. We're at the former Seton Catholic Central School, formerly Mount Assumption Institute, and other things down through the years, and we're trying to chronicle the demise of this building in terms of its educational component, because Seton Catholic is moving to the former Northside School on Plattsburgh Air Force Base, and we're recording this on August 25th, 2004 with Brother Rennie. I see a memorial plaque to the family of Thomas and Rose Panaski.
Panache. Their son actually doctors. The two boys, I think, they're both doctors.
Really?
One lives in California and one lives in Canada. They were graduates in the late 60s, I believe. I'm not too sure their dates.
You know, I love to tour old buildings like this. One that stays in my mind that people mention to me from time to time is the old school in Lion Mountain that became a prison.
Uh-huh.
And it was delicious for me and to our tour guide, who used to attend school there. Went to his entire schooling was done in that school. Mm-hmm. And I may be exaggerating a little bit, but we were walking down a hallway and there was a door on the left, and I noticed he walked a little sideways going past the door. I said, "How come you're doing that?" He said, "Oh, that's the principal's office."
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of cool to see that old building turning into a prison and what it's being used for now. And perhaps we'll get a chance to come in here sometime and see what this building has turned into as well. We're going to change batteries and be back with our tour of the former Seton Catholic Central School building. Oh, we had to start the camera in the boys' locker room because I don't know about Calvin or brother, but I've so many memories connected with locker rooms in many parts of the country, but certainly in northern New York, all the way from here to St. Joe's and Malone and Parishville and St. Regis Falls and Moira and Brushton and towns all over the place. And we even noticed a pair of good tennises on the floor that somebody left behind, probably somebody that lost a ball game and said, "I don't even want them anymore."
Yeah, it could be very well that, but
Oh, my goodness.
like all locker rooms, there's always something hang around.
Oh, of course. It's amazing, but I'm sure that if we hadn't shown the locker room, somebody would have said to Calvin or me or you, "How come you didn't show the locker room? I spent most of my time in that locker room." And kids don't even take showers after ball games anymore. I'll tell you that. You shocked me when you told me that. I didn't even realize that.
Very few take it, if they do. Because, I never come down here, so I don't know exactly the things, but I find out that they really get out of school building fast once the game is over. So you can't say that they took a shower. They just dried himself up, and that was it.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Huh? That's amazing. Well, a lot of memories in every single room here, and we're going to show as many as you can get the lights turned on for. So let's move along. Okay, we moved into another part of the building in an exercise room, but I want to make sure I tell people about what dates apply. Now, let's start with the cafeteria. When was that wing built?
The cafeteria and gymnasium wing was built in 1963.
Okay.
Now we're in the old section, which was built in 1923. And where we are standing at the moment, you had the Block and Tackle. That used to be the little store for selling goods and also to claim their class books. From over here. Then this has been changed eventually. We emptied everything out and we just put exercise equipment that had to be locked up, in particular ones. And all this room was used for exercise room. It was formerly a locker room where all the lockers were in rows, where the resident students and the day students of Mount Assumption used to come down and get their books.
Boy, talk about memories. And for some of the students, I'm sure they're sad memories because you remember the glory of the place when it was in full operation and there were hundreds of kids walking the floors and coming down here to exercise and so on. And now you see it now with panes of broken glass and things hanging around. So, but things change, don't they?
That's right.
Things change, and they are changing, and I'm sure the new facility, as you said, on the former Plattsburgh Air Force Base at the Northside School will be something to be very, very proud of.
Mm-hmm. It is a very beautiful school. Now, what we like about it also is that we'll have our own athletic fields right behind the school. They are working on it at the moment. They're doing the parking lot, and they're doing the football field and the baseball field and soccer field.
Well, we talked about remote sports activities before when we were discussing the gym, but that'll be a huge change for Seton, won't it?
It will, because we won't have to be transporting the students at different fields that we had to either borrow or chisel to get time practice for. So therefore, no more transportation of sports practices. They'll be right behind the school.
And it's easy to get to that school.
Yes.
I don't know how long it will take for people to adjust to the new roundabout.
Brother Raymond Field will still be used, though, right?
Yes. Yeah, the field on North Catherine, behind St. Peter's Field, behind St. Peter's Church, will still be used by the school until further notice. We may be able to use it as long as we can because it belongs to the brothers, and the school, Seton Catholic, has the privilege of using that field for their soccer team. That's one of the fields.
It's a good field. It's a good field.
It's in
I've been to a
condition.
lot of sporting activities. Calvin and I drove by that the other day, and he said, "This is a good field."
And,
Well, it is.
and Brother Raymond is a real go-getter for that field because he spends his time in keeping it the way it's first-class condition.
Well, that's what I mean about good field,
Yeah.
and that requires a lot of work to do that.
It's named for him, too.
And it's named for him besides
Yeah, it
all
is
that,
named
yeah.
for Brother Raymond Fortin Athletic Field, soccer field.
And Calvin has had the camera on his shoulder at that field hundreds and hundreds of times. And of course, in all my years broadcasting in the radio business, there have been a lot of live broadcasts there and carnivals. I remember one time when I broke a chair broadcasting at a carnival that the school was putting on. I was sitting on this beautiful director's chair, and all of a sudden I was on the ground. I haven't broken a chair in about a year, so I'm setting a new record. All right, where are we going next?
Yeah, the other part of the building.
Okay. Yeah, we just moved on a few steps past that last room we were in, and I was amazed when we walked in here and you told me this is where they practiced basketball.
Yes, for many years they practiced games over here as their gymnasium. It was rather small and narrow.
But still, before this wall was built.
Before
right?
the wall that you see there now. In 1989, when we went to co-ed, then we had to build a wall for the girls' locker room. So behind the wall is the girls' locker room, and in front of the wall are lockers for the seniors. And this is called the senior lounge, probably number 1, because we have 2 of them, or had 2 of them. And this is where they get together during their free time.
But this was it's amazing because this was at one time a gym, and there might be people who are watching this program who could remember that. When was it a gym last?
Well, it was before I came. I came in 1969, and this was no longer a gym. It could have been in the 40s and 50s when they used to use this as their gym, because they didn't have much place to exercise or practice the basketball at that time, because the gymnasium was built in 63 rather, and the chapel area was in 58. So if you take those 2 wings out, the boarders, the resident student, had a small place for recreation.
Boy, you probably hit the ceiling with a few set shots, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
It's not
you
very
have some
tall.
holes up there. There's one right there, and here's the other one.
Another hole
You know.
in the ceiling. Oh. But I have to tell you, in talking and doing interviews with old timers and referees and umpires, and we've talked about all the small gyms that schools used to have back in the 40s and 50s when I went to school in the North Country, and some of them were tiny, and we played regulation basketball games where the outside line was the wall.
Right.
And if spectators wanted to watch a game, they had to sit on the stage. Right?
Right.
Or some schools, if you were lucky, had a balcony.
Yeah.
But they were very, very tiny. And we've talked often about playing basketball and going for a layup at St. Joe's and Malone and being outside in a snowbank by the time you could get stopped.
True.
Oh, boy. More fun, huh?
Fun, yep.
More fun. Let's continue on our tour of the former Seton Catholic Central School. Oh, I've been in this room before. We had a lot of fun as you showed us around the history of MAI. Those panels over in the far wall include all those classes that date all the way back. Wow.
Yeah, the panels that we see in front there, I have 16 panels, and on those panels are 70 picture frame, graduation picture frames from 1919 to 1989.
Oh, just wonderful. Now you're once again in the state of flux, ready to move as soon as the carpet
It's put in.
gets in the new building.
Once the carpet is in, then we move everything else back to the new room we have.
Yeah, there's a couple of technicalities that I want to clear up for the benefit of our audience. And while the camera was off, Calvin asked some key questions. And I had forgotten that the brothers still own a couple houses near here, right? You have 4 brothers, you told me.
Yes.
Who are the brothers?
We are 4 brothers here at the residence. Brother Roland, who is the superior, Brother Raymond, who is the assistant superior, and a worker taking care of the fields at the new school, as well as the Seton field behind St. Peter's Church, which is our soccer field. Then there's the Brother Charles, who is the homemaker in charge of a kitchen, and he cooks once in a while when the cook doesn't show in. But we generally have the cook in on time for the brothers. And myself, Brother Rene. I do work at the new school. I will continue to be the alumni director and also the co-editor of the Bridge that comes out every quarter of the year, and help out in the secretary office for their lunchtime and the concession after school. And when we have our new gymnasium, then we'll have concession open during the basketball season. That's basically what I will be doing in this new school year.
Now, to continue that line of thought, the brothers actually owned these buildings and the grounds, right?
Yes.
And Seton leased it
Leased it.
from the brothers.
Right,
So the process that's ongoing now is selling the buildings and the property.
right.
And in connection with the new property, you said the brothers won't actually own anything out there,
That is right.
but they'll be hanging around forever and ever.
As long as
If
we
you
can.
have anything to say about
That's
it.
right. If I have anything to say, I'll be hanging around.
And you
as long as I
maintain
can.
custody of the St. Peter's field for a long time to come, you
Right.
hope,
Yeah.
because it's a good one, and already people have been standing in line saying, gee, if you sell that field, we'd like to. So it's a good field, and we've spent a lot of good time there. So, but the brothers still have, I wanted to let folks know that the brothers still have the 2 houses.
2 houses on Court Street, 91, 93 Court Street, are the residence of the brothers.
And the brothers will have a presence here for a long time to come, and down through the years, they certainly have become almost legendary. How does it feel to be a legend in your own time, Brother Rene?
Well,
You've worked hard.
I've been here since 1969, and I enjoy the work that I'm doing, and the work that I was when I was teaching students, accounting for 20 years, and this is like my home. Plattsburgh is like my home. I just enjoy being here and meeting the people I know and the students I know. They always come back to visit school, and I'm around to show them the building or whatever. And I intend to be around as long as the good Lord gives me health enough to work at the school.
Did you move all these cabinets out of here yet, or
These,
I remember these glass-fronted cabinets.
cabinets that we had for our trophy cases are already at the school, the new school. They're in the hallway. 2 of them will be in the hallway, and 2 of them will be in the alumni room, because we can't put the 4 of them in the hallway, because we are expanding the word alumni, meaning taking care of all the alumni of Catholic schools in the area. So the trophy cases of St. John's will be moved in there,
They'll be jam-packed, won't
and
they?
Our Lady of Victory, and probably Duville Academy if they have any. because we're centralizing the Alumni Association.
That's a good idea. That'll be very interesting. And you're going to run the whole show.
Well,
You'll have to read some more history books.
Not quite the whole show, because we are hoping to form a committee of alumni officers who will be from various areas of the schools.
I see. Well, that'll be, but that's yet to come.
That's yet to come.
All right.
We're still dreaming.
Well, it's okay to dream, you know. What are we going to see next?
Well, the rest is all classrooms, and they're all empty.
Well, we can look at some of them, okay?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Okay, here we are in a room that I've walked into and around many times. And what was this room?
This was a recreation hall for the resident students. We never had a place for where the students could gather together and have a good time, or do some reading, or look at TV, or even play shuffleboard or pool. We had 4 pool tables, and they were really occupied when the resident students came over here for their recreation time.
It's
Since 1992, where we shut the resident student program on campus, we found homes for them.
Yeah, we used to call them boarders.
Yeah.
And they stayed here.
Yeah. At the old time, when it was boarding school, we had 175 boarders for High Peak in the late 40s or 50s, I believe. But now, with the joint school of St. John and MAI and formed Seton Catholic Central, there was a question of either close the boarding school completely or do something else with them. And I told the committee that we should keep the resident student program working and do to them what was done with the girls in early 77, 78, when we went co-ed. The girls were placed in families known to the brothers or to the officers of the school. And I said, the best thing to do for the boys is the same thing. Find homes for the boys in order to keep the program going. So ever since 92, 93, when we closed the resident students on campus, we contacted many families where we were able to place our foreign students. The foreign students come basically from Canada, Europe, particularly Germany and Spain, and in Asia, Japan and Indonesia. They were numerous, and South America, also Mexico country. Today, we expand as far as now South Korea and Estonia, even an Italian coming in this new school year.
Kidding, wonderful.
So we have approximately 50 resident students this coming school year, and they are all placed in families. They are not exchange students. They are resident students living in families chosen by the Seton administrators.
Well, that's a good distinction to make, because we hear a lot about exchange students or foreign exchange students, and many of the schools in the area participate in that program, but it's different.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's like living at home in a new home when they come from a foreign country.
It really is, and isn't it wonderful that the local families have opted to take these kids in, because it's an important experience for all of them, I think.
Yeah, for both of them, they learn the culture of the country. For both of them, the family hosts as well as the student. So, and by placing them in the homes, they learn English much quicker, because they have to talk in English.
It's immersion. We've heard that.
know,
Immersion.
yeah.
Immerse them in the language.
Yeah.
That's the only real way to do it.
Right.
I love it. All right. We're going to see some classrooms, right?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it.
All right.
All right. We just turned around. We thought we might like to walk from there into some of the classrooms. There isn't much remaining here, except that, as you said before, as we stood outside, if these walls could
talk.
Memories, memories, memories. This was maybe an English class for a
This
while?
was an English class run by Lou Currier, an excellent teacher for English. And if you notice there, at the top, they had a hole in the wall. That was a two-sided hole, so we can have the clock to each
Yes.
side.
And blackboards weren't black anymore. Some schools don't even have blackboards as we
don't have any more
know.
blackboards today. They're all green or colored.
Did you
white.
know? Yeah, we were looking at the slate on that pool table down where you had your little museum there, your alumni room, and you talked about somebody trying to move that out of there. Yeah, we know how much that slate weighs.
Yeah.
Oh boy, how many classrooms in here would you guess? Lots.
23,
Really?
approximately.
Yeah, but who's counting, right?
That is right.
Oh my goodness. And I'm sure that the beauty of showing this program over and over again, the first time it's aired in Plattsburgh, it'll be on 9 times over an entire weekend, and the various other places where we put it on cable systems, they'll see it several times. It will evoke memories, and you will have guys whose wives didn't graduate from MAI or Seton or St. John's, but they did, and they'll be saying, yeah, but I remember when so-and-so, and boy, did he get in trouble. These memories go on and on and on.
The stories will be coming out.
They're wonderful stories, and that's what history is. That's what history's collecting, those stories. And someday I would love to see a copy of that journal that you told us about that the guy had written his entire 6-year
If I can find out which box I put it in.
Well, you'll not be going too far away. We'll keep track of you. There's just another classroom right adjacent to the English room.
This is now, it was a math room and Mary Forbes was the teacher.
Oh.
But before her time, this was my classroom for 20 years.
Was it really?
It was my accounting and business courses taught in this room.
Oh boy, so you got your own set of memories connected with this room.
Yes.
Never raised your voice once, right?
That's right.
But of course, Mary is one of our dearest long-term friends, and I would be remiss if I didn't pay a little on-camera tribute to Mary Forbes for her tremendous dedication to the idea of Catholic education, to sporting events, accompanied so many teams, so many places, taking these kids, some of them bright, some of them troubled, of all kinds of descriptions, under her wing, meeting with parents over and over again, and just a wonderful, caring individual. So a tip of my Gordy Little hat to Mary Forbes and to all the other people.
She's very, very good. She's
all the
very
other
good.
people who have taught here over the years. So this was your room?
Rich.
Well, I wrote a column about this about a month ago, and you would not believe the comment that it generated. Some people said, yes, I always, a penny saved is a penny earned, and all those things that our parents used to tell us. And other people would say, no, I never, it's bad luck to pick up coins. And I always look to see whether it's heads or tails. Well, I'm one of those maybe penny wise and pound foolish people. I pick up all the pennies.
It'd be amazing sometime in the schoolyard. You always get something to pick up. Quarters, dimes, nickels.
Whatever.
I even picked up a 50 peace sign.
Come on.
50 cents piece sign.
Did you really?
How can they drop it and forget and leave it there?
When's the last time you had a 50-cent piece in your pocket?
It's been a while.
It's been a long. Think about that.
I get it once in a while.
Do you really?
Yeah, when people cross the ferry, they used to give 50 cents instead of 2 quarters.
Isn't that?
But I think they changed. They changed that. I think they have a lot of quarters now.
Money in general has changed a great deal since I started the coin collection way back in the 1940s. So this room is special for you.
Yes.
Oh, back. Don't you wish you could just replay a little
Replay the
chapter
thing,
every
okay.
now and again and come in here and turn a video on and see what it was like? And what year did you start in this classroom, would you guess?
1972,
Wow.
73,
We're
around
talking
that.
talking over 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Isn't that great? I love it. Nostalgia is a wonderful thing. All right, let's move on. Interesting yellow light coming through these tinted windows here in the former study hall and chapel, right?
The tinted windows were officially for the chapel. This was first built as a new chapel of Mount Assumption. In front of us, behind the wall, is a sanctuary, what we used to call the sanctuary. And we reduced that by putting a wall, and that was the chapel behind the wall. And this became a study hall in the 1980s, late 1980s and 1990s. And that's why they have tinted windows in this area.
And whoever monitored the study hall probably had their desk right up on that little raised platform.
That's right. That's the where it was reserved for the teacher.
Almost all, and that's an interesting architectural design, because almost every 1- and 2-room schoolhouse and larger schools that I attended over the years always has a raised platform in the front so the teacher could look
That's right.
down on her, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, check up on everybody. So this was a study hall, and so everybody who ever attended this school will probably say, yeah, I spent some time there.
Yes, and many of them had me as proctor.
Oh, they did. I wanted to mention the fact that you were the proctor in this study hall forever and ever.
I was 15 years in proctoring study halls, what we used to call my retirement plans.
I love it. Well, you were good at it. You wouldn't have been doing it unless you were good at it. And speaking of your background and all the things you did at this school, some of our viewers got your personal history the last time we interviewed you at the alumni room, but I want to go through the whole process again. Let's give us, in a nutshell, where you've been since you were born and brought up.
I'm from New Bedford, Massachusetts, the capital world of whaling oil.
Oh, yes.
In the old history books, if you look at it, in the 1817 and 18 and early 1900s. It was a capital of whaling city. I attended school there in New Bedford, Mass, at St. Anthony's School, and did all my grade school there and up to my junior year. My junior year, that's where I was questioning myself, what will be my future? And therefore I contacted a brother, and I was introduced to finish my high school at the House of Formation for the brothers at Alfred, Maine, which is the southern part of the state of Maine, right next to Sanford, Maine. From there, I completed my high school and went for my novitiate year in 1949-50 in Oka, Canada, to do my first year of novices. Followed that, returned back to Alfred, Maine for my scholasticate, which is studies at the college. And I was doing very well in my courses, and towards the middle of 1953, I was asked to substitute a teacher here in Plattsburgh, New York. So I did teach in 53 for 3 months at St. Peter's School.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh.
From then on, I returned back to Alfred to finish my education, and that summer I was placed in Waterville, Maine. My first official obedience as a brother teaching in one of our schools in Waterville, Maine. I stayed there for 1 year and went to Biddeford, where I made a 10-year stage, teaching the 7th and 8th grade. Eventually, it was all 8th grades that I taught school in Biddeford, Maine. Then, after 10 years, which I didn't think I was going to be asked to be transferred, but I did, and I went to Fall River, Mass. in 1964 to 67. There I was close to home, so I was able to visit my mother a little more often than normal. And then in 1967, I was asked to be director of discipline, or what's the name?
I don't know. Director of discipline sounds pretty important to me.
We'll keep it the director of discipline of our junior high school in Dennis Hall in Alfred, Maine. Prefect of discipline, that's what I wanted to use the name.
That's even more important.
Yeah. The titles say a lot, but don't worry about it.
I love it.
Then I came here in 1969, and I've been here since then. I was away, however, for 6 months when I went to Europe for a renovation program, a spiritual renewal program. And then I came back to Plattsburgh at the end of the session. So you can see that I've been here for quite a while. During that time, I taught French, English, religion, business courses, particularly accounting. The last 20 years, I was strictly teaching accounting 1 and 2 until I decided to, I did not quite decide. However, I was offered a position here at the boarding school in Plattsburgh, New York, being again prefect of discipline of the resident students. So I took that job and I retired from teaching. And this job of prefect of discipline was for 2 years, 3 years. And at that time, that's when I fell sick. I had to be replaced because I had major surgery in 1993. Heart attack and kidney stone operation and the prostate all in 1 year. So that put me to take a rest, and since then I've been retired from education. I help out around the school.
You're still very much involved. You can't help it, can you?
No,
you love to
I've got to do something. So now I take care of the Alumni Association, and we print out a newspaper. I'm co-editor with Don O'Rico for publishing the Bridge.
Don and Don?
He's a very great kid. I taught in school in 1972.
I know. He tells me all about that from time to time. But nobody works harder for the church than Don and Don, do they?
Yeah, that's right. They do an awful lot of work. And I'm helping out in the secretary's office at lunchtime. And after school, I open a concession for the students. And on weekends, I work bingos, concession for bingos.
You're in it. You're in it for the duration. You're in it for the long haul. Let's talk just for a moment about, you mentioned the provincial before?
The provincial house is Alfred, Maine. That's where I started when I became a brother, to finish off my studies and to become a brother. The provincial house, like I said, is in Alfred, Maine. They're the one that run or oversees the brothers wherever they are, in Massachusetts, Ohio, here in Plattsburgh, and Alfred.
Brother Charles, whom I see a couple of times a week in our church at St. Alexander's in Morrisonville, spent a long time putting together a historical booklet.
Yes.
for the brothers, and I wish everybody could see a copy of it because he worked hard
Yeah.
on that.
He did an excellent job on the brothers' centennial here in Plattsburgh and the Provincial House in Alfred, Maine.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll tell you, we're so proud to have you here in this area and terrifically proud of your contribution, which you're still making. You aren't going anywhere. If people think this means the end of Brother Rene, they're wrong, because he'll be standing right out front of the new school
That's
the
right.
first day it opens. Yeah. A new beginning. I love new beginnings. We like the old stuff, but we like new beginnings. What else haven't we seen? Just more classrooms.
More class.
These plaques we brought to the.
Oh, the plaques. I forgot about that. Let me.
Have is in memory of Brother Donald Mestamaker, a great science teacher who died very quickly. As a matter of fact, he died at his home the day after Christmas
Oh my goodness.
in 1984.
So what happens to these plaques? Will they be removed?
The plaques will be removed and brought into the alumni room. Anything related to the history of past MAI people.
Oh, the stained glass window.
The stained glass window,
Sure,
Dr.
36.
Frost, he's still alive in 1936. But I think he's in a nursing home, but I'm not sure.
Huh.
But I hear from him once a year, you know. But Donald Mestamaker was a well-beloved person and very sympathetic to all the students. He was a really great teacher.
Well, that's nice to know that those plaques and a lot of the other memories will be preserved. That alumni room's going to be pretty jam-packed with good stuff. All right. Any other rooms that we'd like to see? All right, let's do it. There were things that you didn't mention. First of all, Calvin reminds me that we didn't mention your last name, Brother Rene Demers, right?
That is right.
And you just told us before we started the camera that your father died when you were how old?
3 years old.
So your aunt took care of you.
Yeah, that's right.
And you spoke French before you spoke English.
That is true.
You had to.
Yeah.
You didn't have any choice in that matter.
Right. That's right.
So English as a second language, as they say.
Yes.
Right?
Because I always find for my mother tongue is French.
I love it.
See, so
I love it. Do you still get to speak French with friends?
being in the area of Plattsburgh, the only occasion that I really talk in French is when the brothers from Canada come down to visit us, and when the people come in to visit the school, if they're Canadian, the guidance person who's in charge of the resident program would call me in for interpretation or speak to these people in French. So that's when I have a chance to talk French. But in the community it's difficult because you may have somebody there who does not understand French. So we have to speak English, the common language of English.
You can walk in the mall and just say, hey.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can speak French anytime you want to.
Yeah.
Do you watch French television at all?
Not too often.
I do once in a while. Number one, because they sometimes beat the American television NBC for the Olympics. But I like to watch hockey games in French, and I don't speak French very well, but I understand a little French, and I love to just tune up by turning the French station on late at night so I don't drive my wife crazy, who doesn't understand very much French, although her mother and most of her family spoke French, the Trudeaus way back when.
French.
Sure. So we're in the library. We did at least one, maybe two of our Mission of Hope segments here. That's something that's been connected with the school for a long time, and it's they go now to a couple of trips.
They go twice a year to Nicaragua, at this particular city, Chiquistacua, to help out
Very
there.
good. I'm glad that was you saying that and not me.
The reason why I also enjoyed that mission is because we have the Lanes boys from Nicaragua,
Oh, really?
Managua.
No kidding.
Yes. So I remember the first year that they went down, we told Sister Blow, get in contact with Alfonso or Javier Alanes, because they were in good position, and they're the one that really helped us out to start off the Mission of Hope. Yeah.
I don't know. I can tell you this, but it's like preaching to the choir in Calvin. I can't tell you how moved I've been by interviewing these kids, and of course Sister Debbie too, each time they go and each time they come back. And I can't tell you how many times I've sat somewhere at a meeting or a dinner or in my own living room or dining room and talked about the Mission of Hope because of what it does and how it has an impact on not only the kids that go there, but now all the sponsors that go with them, and how it's expanded to a large number of schools in the North Country and includes parents and has literally changed these young lives. We're a very materialistic society, and I'm not going to preach on this program any more than I can get away with. But the fact is, these kids come back and they tell us stories, and I'm not ashamed one bit to say that Calvin and I both have shed more than one tear in listening to these heart-wrenching stories. And the program continues to grow. It's had its little obstacles to get over down through the years, but it's in full force now, and it every year generates a lot more support from the North Country, and boy, oh boy.
Sister Blow really does a tremendous job with that Mission of Hope.
I'm great, and
I'm glad we were the instigators to organize it.
I love it.
To start,
I love it.
First 2 years there, we were sending 30, 40 students of ours.
And now it encompasses the community, the high school community, the college community.
It's almost the whole North Country is involved.
And we're sending carpenters and nurses and doctors and cabinet makers and who knows.
Right.
I think you ought to go.
I wouldn't mind going, but I got to think of my health.
Really?
Yeah, because of the medication I take.
You look like you're in great shape to me, considering all that. I can't believe all the stuff you went through. What year was that, 93?
93.
Whoa. That's a year you'd like to erase from your memory
Since
bank.
then, I had two heart attacks, slight heart attacks, So I got to watch myself.
We're dragging him up the stairs.
We're dragging you up and down the stairs. Well, you can't expire at least till the program's over, brother. All right, let's look some more, okay? Let's do it. Yeah, Calvin just said before he pushed the red button there, if Gordy and I had attended the school, this was where we would have spent a lot of time. This is was the principal's office, and I don't mind saying that I did spend a lot of time here on behalf of various students in my role as a crime victims advocate, advocating for young students in other schools whom I thought would benefit from the transfer to this school and the benefit of this kind of education. So I had some good times in here, some heart-wrenching, emotional times. Look at the floor here. That's a surprise. I didn't know there were wooden floors underneath all of this.
Oh yes. This was all wooden floors. And the hallway was all wooden floors. And it's a creepy floor.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. It was a creeping floor. That's how we could hear if any kids are running around.
Oh, you could hear the sounds.
Oh, yeah.
You know, as we've been walking through the building, I've been listening for any of the extraneous sounds, and there aren't too many. I was kind of hoping to hear the whispering of those walls like we talked about earlier. But so you've been through a few administrations here.
Oh, yes.
Over the years, and a few principals.
Few principals, yes.
I bet you remember everyone, too.
Everyone, yep.
Oh, boy. Well, this is where many people would come in, where the kids would gather at the office.
Yeah.
You'd hear on the intercom, so-and-so.
Come down to the office.
Come down to the office. And sometimes that was a good thing, and sometimes it wasn't a good thing.
That's right.
Things are a little different in many ways in a school like Seton Catholic and formerly Mount Assumption Institute. And as I said it over and over again, and I continue to say it as we move about from place to place, it gives me an eerie feeling to come in here when nobody's in here.
That's
and
right.
The rooms are empty.
It is.
having come here to visit and interview people and talk to teachers and principals down through the years, it's a very strange sensation. And Calvin realized that, changing the location of this school to its present and future location is a big move, and somebody
Right.
better get this all on tape
That's
so
right.
that 20 or 30 years from now, we don't forget, and we shouldn't forget. Too many good times here for you, especially, right?
All right, you want to see something
Yes, of course I do.
so surprising? No.
I do.
See, I've been taking care of these trophy cases.
Ah.
And this was all Seton stuff here.
Yes.
So we had to take everything out. Those are the glass doors that belong to these,
Yeah.
and the glass plate. Now, I happen to put some contact paper behind these things. And would you believe it? You can't get them off.
Very good contact paper.
You know, they've been trying to take everything out, and they could not take these out.
Couldn't get these off?
No, they even would apply, you just can't. So I told them, I said, well, I don't know what we're going to do, but when we bring them to the new school, we'll see who's
So
going
that's
to.
why those are still here.
They're still
huh?
there.
Couldn't get them off. Well, let's set up a small dynamite charge behind each one, and isn't that amazing?
Because all the others came off, you know.
I want to be here when they take the cases themselves out of here. These are big cases, all one piece.
And that's all one piece, and
Oh,
these
my.
were made by brothers.
Really?
They're homemade.
Oh,
They're not bought.
they're beautiful. I know how much it would cost to replace them too, huh?
A thing like that, at least $2,000.
Yeah,
You know.
it's incredible. Again, for those people who might be just turning on a television set, I hope you get to see this program from the beginning another time, because we're walking the halls of the former Mount Assumption Institute Seton Catholic Central School with Brother Rene for what might be the last hurrah, the last tour of these walls before they're changed very much into something different. We're walking into a room once again where Calvin and I have been many times. I talked to you a few minutes ago about shedding tears in this room, mostly tears of empathy and joy, happiness, a few sad moments, because around this giant table that was in this room, Sister Debbie Blow and the kids and the folks who went on the trips, their parents and friends, would talk about the mission of hope. What was this room when you first came here? Can you remember?
Before I came here, it was the dining room of the brothers.
Was it?
Yeah,
Ah,
this was the dining room of the brothers who were teaching at the Mount.
aha.
And then when I came in '69, it was a conference room. No, it was a community room, because we had our dining room in the new cafeteria.
Aha.
That's why, and this became a community room. So we had a lot of space, and you had a sitting room here. We were able to gather together with the brothers, and where we had conversation and friendly things.
Look at the beautiful doors.
Yeah.
Huh? These beautiful shaped, arched doorways and these giant doors. I hope they may keep some of this stuff in here. I really, really do. It's got a certain charm, doesn't it?
It has, but I think this part, it will be destroyed
I know.
because of the asbestos.
Oh,
They have a lot of it.
There's that bad word again.
Oh, yeah. I find it bad. that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because the reason why I never heard anybody who fell sick from it.
Yeah, nor did I. I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you that I worked with asbestos for a long time. When I was in college, I had a job that paid me according to how much asbestos siding I could put on houses on Long Island. And I was there with a skill saw cutting it up and breathing the dust day after day after day. And, I might get that terrible, dreaded disease tomorrow, but up until this point in time, about 50 years later, I'm doing great. Oh, golly. All right, this isn't just another...
This is the business office.
Uh-huh. Boy, it's bright today. We have a beautiful sunshiny day on the 25th day of August, on 2004, and the sun is just pouring in. We deserve it after having a very wet, almost non-existent summer. Temperatures are predicted to be in the 70s and 80s for the rest of this week, and if you don't see this until sometime when it's very cold out, forget that. Look at the keys.
Those are the keys of the school.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you better put those
And
keys
now-
in the alumni office.
And now it becomes history.
Some of that stuff was written on there
Yeah,
before yesterday.
that's right.
Oh my. Did you ever have to get your keys from here? And look at these great old keys of all kinds and descriptions. I love it. There's some, I don't even know what that is. Very, very interesting. I love old keys. I don't know, I guess most people have a fascination with keys, and I have boxes and bags of keys, and the best part of it is I've got keys on my key ring right here, and I have no clue. I mean, some of those cars have probably been in the
I'm
junkyard
trying to
for 20
eliminate
years.
Mine,
Are you?
those that I don't use anymore.
It's a miracle I don't rip the ignitions right out of my cars by hanging those keys and things on them. Oh my goodness. What else? Well, we climbed the stairs to another level. You're still doing fine. You're not hardly even breathing hard, brother. But we, besides the 8th grade classrooms and so on up here, there's a section that I want to mention for the benefit of the old timers. And as Calvin just said, if we don't mention it, nobody ever will again. But this was, at one time, the infirmary.
Yeah, we had three or four rooms reserved on this floor for our resident students who were sick, especially if they had a contagious disease. They would come over here until they're better. And they had the watchful eye of Brother Donald Mestermaker, who was
You mentioned his name, yes.
who was a pharmacist.
Oh, really?
So he helped us out in taking care of these sick brothers, and some other brothers helped out too. But I mentioned Donald because I knew what he was, a specialist in pharmacy.
Interesting. And so these rooms haven't been used for that purpose in a while.
No, since it's been since we have dropped the resident students on campus, this is no longer used as such, but a lot of storage room.
And you have the feeling that this part of the building will be destroyed?
Most probably will be
Yeah.
destroyed.
So the memories we're capturing on videotape today might be the very last of their kind. You see the old radiators in the buildings, and so you had several
Yeah.
rooms here that were
Yeah.
used.
This was his office, and then this was the dispensary.
Oh, I see. Okay, over here
Yeah.
on this little corner. And this building actually dates to when? This part of the building?
In this part of the building in 1850,
So
the Vilas Mansion.
this is part of the Vilas Mansion, over 150 years
Yeah.
old. I love it. I really just love it.
That's been modernized lately.
I noticed that. I noticed that. I don't know if I've ever been up here before, but as I said, it gives me the feeling like I'm walking into Duville because it is much the same kind of
This hasn't
construction.
been changed at all. This is the original staircase.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
The change starts on the next floor. The third and fourth floors were built by the brothers when they expanded.
It just built right onto it, huh?
Yeah, that's how they did. They went up higher. There's another fireplace.
Yeah, I noticed the fireplaces in the rooms. Isn't that interesting? These were used as classrooms?
This was, when the brothers were here, this was the superior's room.
Oh.
And if I'm not mistaken, they had a spiral staircase. I think it could have been around there or in this corner here. From downstairs, they used to have a spiral staircase.
Come on.
That's the old time.
I wonder if it's hidden in the wall somewhere.
No.
You think it got taken out?
No, they've been taken out.
Oh my goodness. I
And
love
this is
spiral staircases.
another room. I don't know exactly what it was though. But you have your
This is a teacher's room.
elevator shaft over here.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But that elevator hasn't been used in years, right?
It has been used since it's been Seton.
Yeah.
And now they use it only for transporting hard stuff, work benches or something. They have to go.
Oh, so it still works.
Yeah, it still works. Oh yes,
I love it.
it still works. As a matter of fact, it was built by a brother.
Listen to the floor, don't you love it? Oh, this floor is great.
This was the same thing in the hallways.
The sound effects are fabulous.
Yeah.
You couldn't sneak down this hall.
No, you couldn't.
Even a cat couldn't sneak down this hall.
This over
I'm
here
glad I
was-
never had to try.
This over here was the 7 and 8 grade lounge, teacher's lounge over here.
Ah. Very nice bright space here. Look at the thickness of the walls. That's how big the original windows
Yeah.
were, and they were replaced, I'm sure, to make
That's the
it.
height, the original height.
Yeah. You can see it.
Yeah.
Amazing, huh?
15 feet.
Oh, this is tremendous history, because there are only a given number of buildings left around that date back, and we still have some homes and buildings that date back to the early part of the 19th century, but they're getting fewer and fewer and fewer.
Oh, yeah.
I think our oldest home in Morrisonville is the Morrison Homestead on top of the hill on Beckwith Street, and that dates to about 1804. But it's not like your home state in Massachusetts, where you got quite a few buildings that date back into the 18th century.
Oh, yes, oh, yes.
And then you go to Europe and you see buildings that are 5
older
and
than
6 and 700 years old. But that's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Not too many people come up on this floor anymore, do they, huh?
Yeah.
In the near future, they probably won't at all.
This used to be, I'm going way back, the study hall of the brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had study halls after schoolwork. We had to be here to prepare our classes. We each had our own desk over here. The superior was sitting in the back, and he would check on us, Many of us, we would knock wood, because at that time we used to have catechism studies. And we had to have a spiritual book now, and that was rough at times. You just fell asleep.
You can tell us all about it if you want to.
And,
Nobody's going to come back and get you now, brother.
but recently, when it became a co-ed, it was the language lab.
Uh-huh. I bet you still got that old catechism book somewhere, too, if you know where to find it.
Probably if I look around. And then recently, with the junior high being here, it was the computer lab.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it had many use.
So they still, right up until this past year, they used this floor,
Yeah.
but not the 2 floors above. There's 2 floors above this, right?
Yes.
And they haven't been used in a long time?
Well, upstairs, the class, art class way up top
Oh,
floor.
really?
Yeah.
Still?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Those have been changed into classes.
Oh, my goodness. You don't have any idea when you drive around and
Right
look
up
at...
here is the physics and chemistry lab, and on that side is the biology lab. And on top of that is the art class.
Right up on the top?
Yeah, right on top of the art class.
Was that because it had a skylight or something?
No,
for better
because
light?
they had windows. No, because we blocked a few windows on those floors
Huh.
to save heat.
Well, that's why the windows were smaller that I just showed you in another
Yeah.
room. They did that in most schools when they realized that Fuel oil costs a little bit. I can't even, we're, as I said, recording this on August 25th, 2004, and I've heard of fuel oil prices now approaching the $1.80 a
That
gallon.
window frame there,
Sure, there you go.
that's the original frame,
Yeah,
but we cut down in the inside, a small window.
yeah.
You know, we had to.
Next step would have been gun ports, right? About 2 inches wide.
Yeah. With magnifying glass.
Oh, you know, I bet you one of the greatest memories for people watching this who went to school here, the sounds of that creaking floor as we walk over it.
That's what the alumni, when we have the reunion and we come visit the school, where's the creaky floor?
Yeah, where's the creaking?
And at a certain time, because of the weather, humidity,
tightens up.
it would tighten up, you know, and it would make a high thing and couldn't open the door.
Oh, really?
Couldn't.
We swell up so much?
Downstairs especially.
Oh, my
first floor.
goodness.
Because when they redid that, they took all the wood out and put pineite, not pineite, but come on,
I know what you mean.
Plywood?
plywood
Yeah.
all over.
What, now, you said this was the original Vilas
Mansion.
mansion. Would that mean it was a private home?
Yeah. Yeah. If you look in the Clinton County historical book,
1897?
yeah, you have the picture of the Vilas Mansion.
Oh, it
On
might
a
even be in the
certain
herd, the 1880 herd book too.
Yeah.
It might be. I'll check it out.
You know, I showed it to you, but it was in the library. I wonder if it's still in the library.
I'll take your word
But
for it.
there's a
Like the original
beautiful
photograph.
picture of the plant. They had a lot of plants all around, a couple fountains.
Oh my.
Our famous lions that we have at our house
Yes.
were on this property.
No kidding.
Yes.
And they moved over to the house.
Oh, it moved all over. It was even taking a ride in a hearse
Oh.
by Dr. Del Bell's sons.
Come on.
When he came to the reunion, I reminded him that.
Oh, a million stories in the naked city.
So this is one of the type of classroom.
Oh yes, once again with a raised front and a real blackboard.
Yeah.
Real blackboard. I've clapped a few erasers in my days. Nowadays kids don't even know what that means. Oh, somebody.
Green, white, red.
Yeah, and somebody poked a hole in it because this is real slate. This is not a composite board. You wrote on this with chalk, and there that proves it right there. Isn't that? And it's been there for a while. This is reminiscent of all the blackboards in all the schools I attended as a youngster. That's for sure. Wonderful. And that's a good feeling. And let me see, I got to look out the window because we're getting up there now. And we apologize for a little echo in these rooms, but oh yeah, that looks down on where we were before. Great buildings, the building on the corner. Some of these old houses have been here for a long, long time, and you see the spire of St. John's Church over there, right?
Yeah.
And just terrific. And this gives you an idea about the original size of the windows, doesn't it, huh?
These, yeah.
Big, huge double windows and very, very thick, like 15-inch casings.
Yes. Well, you have 18 inches of cement between each floor.
Do you really?
That's what makes it hard to bring up anything new. You have to go outside to bring up wires. And that's what they're considering, keeping the building, but do the changes inside and have 2 outside elevators, one at both ends.
Makes sense to me.
Yep, you know?
I think I'll tell them that. Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't realize there was that much cement. I learned something about the construction of the building today. Well, we're about as high as you can go in this building.
That's right.
On the top floor, and you talked about the art class, and I think that probably is obvious.
Yeah, that's right. It's
They
quite obvious.
painted
They painted-
everything that wasn't nailed down, including the fire alarm.
Wow.
It's wonderful. So there are kids who are not kids anymore who might remember some of the things on these walls, and there's some pretty good artwork with animals and giraffes and angels and goodness knows, even signs that talk about recycling. Wow, I love it. What a nice space. But this originally was a dormitory.
A dormitory for the young boarders, 7th and 8th grade. They put in about 50 of them in here, and their shower room was way in the back.
Uh-huh. And so this would have been just beds, rows of beds in here?
And locker.
Yeah, let me walk over this way so Calvin can just get a view out the window, because you told us the view was good from the top.
Yeah, the view over here, you're looking toward St. Peter's Church.
Just
So
amazing.
that area.
You can see so many things in the distance. We live in a pretty spectacular part of the country, and when we drive through it at street level, we don't appreciate it
That's
until
right.
we get up in a high place like this and look out the windows. We have to confess that some of the doors up here were locked, and would like to have gone in when we got up to this top floor, but I love to look at these murals, and Calvin will be preserving them because they may not be on film anywhere else but here.
If you have a chance to visit the new school, make sure you look for the chapel. The stained glass windows were made here,
Come on.
and the entire Station of the Cross was made here.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? I'm so glad you told us that, because I'll forget, but Calvin will remind me when we go out there.
Because it's something to see.
I'm so glad we came up here today for that reason. I'm not only a music lover, but I love the arts. And I think it's such a tremendous part of education. And as my friends know, I love to draw. And so I'm looking at these walls and these paintings, and some of them are very, very good.
These walls have been repainted year after year.
Really?
Yeah.
So some of the old ones are gone and probably
That's
not
right.
captured
Yeah.
anymore. And as I just said a moment ago, these pictures wouldn't be captured
right.
if Calvin didn't bring that hometown cable camera here today. And so I'm just delighted that they did. I particularly like this fall scene with the leaves over here. It really evokes some emotion. And look over here, Ride the Lightning. Wow. Isn't that wild? Just good stuff. Good stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if some of the people who painted these pictures in the past few years would call up and say, Calvin, can we get a copy of that tape? Calvin finds himself making copies of these tapes for people in the future. And if you want to contact Calvin for any reason to find out when a program is going to be on, check your local newspapers, but call Calvin at Hometown Cable on the Ridge Road in Champlain, and he will just bend over backwards to accommodate. I just looked at the end of this pipe, which has been painted to look like a snake.
Yeah.
Isn't this, who would ever do that? Look at this pipe. I love it. And some of the people have put their initials on
Oh, yes.
what they drew. Some of them are juvenile, and some are very, very ambitious, and it's all a product of who was thinking about what at any given time. They got their handprints, and they got their footprints, and they got things all over the place. Look at this. Oh, look at that. That's kind of neat. I love it. Isn't that neat? Great stuff. So we went down to the 3rd floor and found an open door. The open door policy is in effect here, and you can see, of course, many of the older homes, including the Engelhardt home on the corner here with its great slate roofs, and the church, and in the distance, the layers of mountains. And on a clear day, you can see even farther, see the green mountains of Vermont, and maybe even the white mountains of New Hampshire, and who knows, far off into that hilly horizon. Now, today, it's a little bit hazy, and there are shadows over there, but it still makes you appreciate the beauty that the good Lord has made for us here in the North Country. It's a fabulous place to live and work. This is one terrific building, and this has been an extreme pleasure to be with you, and we're going to go out on the lawn and wrap up the show. What do you say?
Very good.
Let's do it.
Very good.
Well, we've stepped back out into the sunshine, and we're giving you a view of this building from the backside, where we parked our cars many times to enter parts of the building. And we tried to give you an overview of the history of this place. Of course, we've left out a few things, but imagination is one of my favorite words, and for the people who've been to school here, who've taught here, who've toured the building, and for those of you who are watching this for the first time, I hope we've evoked a few memories, inspired a little deep thought and maybe conversation. And I know for Brother Rene, it's been fun, hasn't it?
It is. It has been very much so. And I enjoyed every bit of it. If you look at this old building there that we have in the back here, where you have your entrance there, there's like a block form that's projecting out. Well, that used to be the kitchen. The kitchen was down there where where the car is.
Yes.
Was the kitchen, and the resident students were eating in the what we call the music room. That was a dining room, and they used to come in in silence in the middle of the hallway to go to the cafeteria. We had something like 8 sisters working during the time of Mount Assumption Institute, and before we had the gym built and the chapel built. That was the dining room of the resident students. Then where you have the marker up there above the light, that's what was built afterwards when the brothers bought the building in 1903 and so on. The top building may have been built around 1910, 1911.
So it's all been here for a little while.
Yes, yes.
And so if we, and it's been a delicious experience for Calvin and for me, and I hope for our viewers. Again, brother, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Not only for taking us on this delightful mystery tour, but for all you've done for this school and for this community. And I know it's not going to stop for another 30, 40 years for you.
Well, we'll see what the Lord gives me.
That's all. He can give it to us and he can take it back.
Right.
But today has been a great day, and that's the best part of it all. And again, thank you. Thanks to all our viewers for watching this television program and for supporting what Calvin does with Hometown Cable. We really appreciate all of your support. And who knows,